Hey there, everybody. And if this is your first time using FocusMe, I just want to take a moment to thank you for giving this productivity software a shot. Let's go ahead and just dive into this because I know we've all got work to do and we want to get to doing it. So the reason that we're doing this quick start video, we just wanted to have an informal presentation that will give you some simple ways to start using this tool right now without really having to get to know the software that well. We realize that a lot of people just want to jump into using this, and especially when they're already struggling with their time or struggling with getting things done, procrastination, whatever it is, they don't really have a ton of time to be learning the ins and outs of a new software program. And the truth about the software is, it has some really simple uses and it has some more complicated uses, and you don't really have to learn every single thing about it to get it working for you right away. It's a very comprehensive tool, very customizable. But what I want to do is show you 4 simple ways that you could get this up and running today that are going to make an immediate impact on your time. And if you're struggling with your digital, the way you manage your time digitally and staying focused online or on your computer, these are going to instantly give you some of your time back. I know that might sound a little bit like internet hype, but as we dig into this, I think you'll see why this is so powerful, and that even if you are the biggest offender when it comes to letting yourself get distracted and getting sidetracked online, there's features built into this tool that are going to allow you to make it inevitable that you're going to whip that into shape. So that's what we're going to go over today. Just 4. I might even tag a 5th one on there for you. 4 ways to instantly get this thing up and running now and keep it as simple as possible. So let's go ahead and get into it. The first thing that I think that most people are going to get it's going to cover a lot of ground with right away is to start shutting themselves off their computer or the internet at night so they can start winding down in the evening. We have way too many people that are still messing around the computer while they're laying in bed. It's 11:30. In extreme cases, maybe it's already past midnight, and they still are not getting any sleep. And we all know how detrimental even being on the computer at that hour can be to your sleep. So I think one of the first things that you really want to do is start getting to bed a little bit early. And I'm going to show you how FocusMe can help you do that. Before I get started, this list right here, these are all default plans that come with every copy of FocusMe. So you can just go ahead and start these up, or you can open up the settings by clicking that little wheel there and tinker around with them, edit them, use them for what you want, suit them to your needs. We have other videos that will get more into how to set these up or the way that you want them. So we'll deal with that later. We will get into a couple of them also while we're showing you these 4 simple uses. I think a couple of them we'll just go ahead and edit some of these existing plans. But just want to let you know these are default plans. You can use them if you like. So for this one, we're going to go ahead and add a plan. And what I like to do here is make my name, the title of my plan, a note to myself, kind of a little kick in the rear end to go to bed. And by the way, this is a fresh version of the software. So all the default plans you saw are also in yours. So let's name this plan Go to Bed. Give ourselves a reminder so that will pop up when it's time to start winding down. On this screen for this particular plan, I don't want you to do anything. Just go ahead and hit Next. What we're going to do on this one, you can see that you have a choice to block selected apps or block all apps. And I want you to choose to block all apps. That's going to shut down close you out of everything on your computer when it's really time for you to start winding down. And your internet browser would be considered an app. So this will also remove you from browsing the internet. One important thing, if you look down here on the lower right where it says block method, I want you to make sure that's set to minimize. Because if you have it set to close, there is a danger of actually losing some work. If you're in the middle of something important, when you have it set to close, it's going to close the window, and in some cases you could lose stuff. So you want it set to minimize, and then when you open in the morning, everything will still be there. Now over time, as you start getting used to being shut out of your computer every night, you'll naturally, realize that the time is about to arrive, and you'll probably shut down your computer and get off there. And it'll teach, that's one of the powerful things about FocusMe, is it really teaches you that habit of starting to be cognizant of what time it is, getting off the computer when it's time to get off the computer. But there will be times when you don't realize, and all of a sudden you just get shut out. So make sure don't lose your work, guys. This is really important. Make sure you're on block method, it's set to minimize. Now that we've got that done, go ahead and hit next. This is just a quick warning. We have other videos where you can learn how to use the whitelist. If you want to retain access to a couple different apps, you can add them to your whitelist. For now, we're just going to go ahead and block all applications. So hit OK. With all plans, you have 3 different modes that you can use, and we'll get into those later on down the line. For this one, we just want to block ourselves out. It's time to sleep, so we don't have any access to the computer. This is a confirmation. This plan will simply block your chosen apps or sites whenever it's active, and you can change the rule again if you want to do something different. Now, after you hit next, you will be here on schedule mode. What we're going to do for this one is a daily, weekly schedule. Because we want to do this, we want to be off our computer every night. We want to really establish a healthy pattern of always being off our computer late at night. And you see you have the days of the week. You can select certain days, maybe if you like to be on Saturdays, you can leave that unclicked. Or what you can do is just come over here. What I encourage you to do is just select all. Personally, I don't think on any day of the week, if you really want to get serious about productivity, I don't think it's a good idea to give yourself any day of the week where you can be on the computer super late. So, another thing you want to do, make sure you come down here to the Auto Enable Plan Daily. And what this is going to do is if for some reason your plan gets stopped, or you have to stop your plan for some reason, which I'll show you how to make that possible. If you have to stop your plan on a particular day, you don't have to remember to turn it back on. It'll just auto enable itself the very next day. So make sure you have this checked over here, Auto Enable Plan Daily. And then we want to click here, Set the Schedule. We want to make sure that we only have it blocked on the hours that we need to be sleeping. So for this one, what I'm going to do is go from 8:30 at night. See, if you click there, you can drag that. Actually, that's 8 o'clock. If you click right here between, and then I'll drag that all the way to midnight. And you can see right here, if it's a little bit off, you can adjust your time there. But remember, you don't want to wake up in the middle of the night and start using it either. So you got to come over here. I like to have my access come back on at 5:30 personally, because if I wake up early, rather than lay in bed, sometimes I just would rather just get up and use the extra time to get some work done. So that's a personal preference. But make sure you drag that all the way back to midnight. So now we've got this blocked off from 8:30 to midnight and midnight to 5:30. Then go back to days. Just one more thing that I would want to encourage you to consider is you may want to have one day per week where you are a completely screen-free day. I know this might be a little bit extreme for most people who are new to using a tool like FocusMe, but it can do a lot to really help you step back from all the computer time. Let's make it Sunday. Just go ahead and click on that and then hit Set Schedule again. And you can drag this all the way over. Now you've got that at 12 to 12. And if you click on these, you can see what the schedule is for that day. Okay, so let's go ahead and hit next. And this is where you set up your protection for your plan. Now, when I say protection for the plans, what I really mean is to protect the plan from yourself. In other words, to protect your plan from yourself in your weakest moments. Because we all know those moments where we have really good intentions to stop procrastinating on something or to stop using a certain distraction, whether it be a video game, Facebook, or whatever. And then in a moment of weakness, when we have a little less self-control, suddenly we want to stop, we want to change our mind. So that's what these protection plans are for. Some of them are more strict and some of them are not so strict, and you get to choose that. The reason being that sometimes you need to have the power to let yourself into your computer. For using the sleep one as an example, you may want to lock yourself out of your computer at night, but if you have some sort of family emergency and you need to call somebody to get some help, or maybe message your mother through the internet, then you want to be able to stop your plan and get in there. So we do give varying levels of control. Different people also have different levels of digital addiction, you might say, or problems with distraction. So I'm just going to show you really quick while we're setting up this plan how you can set different protections for it. If you click on this, so this is the protection for when the plan is active. You can have different protections depending on what's going on and what time of day is it. This one is for when the plan is active. You can have no protection when the plan is inactive. So, if early in the day you realize you're going to have something going on later in the night and you want to change it, you can go ahead and give yourself that option. You can give yourself varying abilities to pause the plan for a certain amount of time, or to suddenly add a specific app or website to a whitelist. Let's start with the most important one, the protection when the plan is actually active, when you're actually locked out. If you click on that, you'll see that there's varying levels of protection. You have none, so that means you can stop it, edit it whenever you want. Random characters is a really cool feature where you can set a random character length. This is just kind of like a CAPTCHA, and you can really have it go up to hundreds of characters long. So in an emergency, you might go ahead and enter those characters and stop your plan, but it's probably going to be if you set it to like 80 characters, it's probably going to be too inconvenient, or even 32 characters. It's probably going to be too inconvenient for you to do it. It just stops you in a moment of weakness and reminds you, makes you think like, oh wow, really? I'm going to enter all these characters just to cheat my productivity plan? So a lot of times that's enough to just sort of get you back into the right state of mind and stop you from doing that to yourself. So maybe 30, 40 would be, 30 I think is a good character length. It's enough characters that it's going to be inconvenient and want to keep you out of it, but it's not so short that you can just stop it anytime you want, or it's not so long that it's going to be too much trouble in an emergency. So if you want to set your character length and then you accept, and then it's set to random character set. You can also make a custom password. This is a feature that I actually recommend for this particular type of plan. You can have your wife or your husband, a friend, create the password for you and not tell you what it is. And then so if it's the middle of the night and you suddenly decide it's super important to be on Facebook, you would have to explain to your spouse why it's so important. And a lot of times your spouse may not want to be the one to have to force you to follow your own rules, but just the embarrassment of having to explain that will force you to have a good reason. Then we have the forced mode. Be really careful with this one, because as it says in this warning, you will not be able to stop the plan at all while it's active. So be sure you know what you're doing. This is really for people who are serious about locking themselves off at night and they don't want to be able to change their mind. That's the force mode. This is one of the things that really makes FocusMe powerful. So I would recommend setting a custom password, and I am just going to do something simple for now because I will probably be changing this later. This is just for demonstration purposes. So I've got my password. Now I'm going to hit accept. And then you can also set up a level of protection for when the plan is inactive, for pausing, So you can do a password for that, and then you can also set the number of times you're allowed to pause your plan within a day, which could be handy, and how long you can pause it when the need comes up. So this might be handy, you know, if you have a website or an app that you need to use sometimes for work at the last minute, but you don't want to get caught up on there forever. So you give yourself a few times to check it each day. If you really need to pause your plan, you can, but you're, you know, maybe you're limited to 15 minutes and then you got to get back out of there. I'm actually going to disable this completely. I don't like to have the ability to pause that, but if I really, you know, if you set this and you really want to pause it, you're just going to have to stop it by having whoever set your password open it up for you or give you the password. So I'm going to keep the whitelist disabled. I'm going to keep the pausing disabled. Let's keep this simple. Done. You see up here in this alert, it says go to bed, plan is stopped. The reason it says plan is stopped is because I have not actually activated it yet. So in order to actually get the plan running, you need to come over here and hit start. You'll notice that that last alert said, when I press start, it said plan is inactive. So my plan is started, but because I still have 2 hours and about 36 minutes until my sleep block goes on, it's inactive. That's what inactive means. And then after those 2 hours and 36 minutes, it's going to be 8:30. Suddenly it's going to activate, and all my windows are going to minimize, and we'll be forced to shut down my computer and start winding down for the night. So I'm going to go ahead and stop that for now. And let's get into item number 2. By the way, guys, if any of this is confusing, if I lost you in there at all, no worries. Just go ahead and drop an email to our support team, or you can set up, you know, the people who download the software do get a free consultation with our staff. And you can contact the support anytime. We're happy to walk you through any of this if that was a little bit confusing. For now, let's go ahead and jump into item number 2. The second way I think that you could get some really good mileage out of this tool right away, and if you implement this, it's not just a good way to use FocusMe. This is a good habit to have in your life, for everybody to have in their life if you work online, if you study online, and if you're having any sorts of issues with distraction, procrastination, getting things done. And that is to have a little bit of focus time. Maybe every morning, but you know, just a 2 or 3 hour period every day where you go completely offline and you're doing deep work. You could also just limit that to your distractions, your specific distractions. Maybe you need access to certain apps and tools or websites for work. You know, it really kind of depends on you, but the bottom line is, you know, you want to have a certain period of day, 2 to 3 hours, where this is where you get your daily deep focus time. And I would set that up for 5 days a week. Even if you work online and go by your own schedule, just having that pattern of 5 days a week is really going to be a solid way to get a lot more done. So for this one, I'm also going to just add a new plan. Let's make this our daily deep focus. You can have a timer shown if you want. Now with this one, I am going to keep this similar to my sleep mode, where I'm going to block everything, block all my websites. But if you just have specific distractions, you can just select block selected sites. And then you go over here to the right, and you might just add the sites that really. So you have history, you can choose from your history, or go to custom and type in the URL. Facebook would be a big one, obviously. Maybe you have a problem with checking the news while you're trying to work, watching YouTube. So if you don't want to block everything because you still need stuff for work, you may just want to make this list of the stuff you do want to block, and you can put as many items there as you want and hit done. And then you go to next, and you could block selected apps, like searching through here, Skype. You could block yourself out of Skype. Firefox, that would, if that's your browser that you use, that would keep you off the internet. If you have Line on your computer or some other chatting app, you could block yourself from that. But what I'm going to do, just to keep this easy, I'm just going to block all websites. Go to next. And I'm just going to block selected apps. And let's say just Skype, because I don't want to be chatting when I'm supposed to be doing my deep work, but I do want access to my other apps that I use for work, like Scrivener or Microsoft Word. So I'm going to go back here just to show you again. We got all websites blocked, so I can't go online. And then we've got Skype blocked. And then we want to choose our rule type. Now this one I'm just going to block again. Once again, this is going to be a daily, weekly. You could also set this up as a Pomodoro. I don't want to get too much into that but if you do know what the Pomodoro is, FocusMe has a really good setup, which we talk about in other videos of using this program for Pomodoro for focus blocks. For now, we'll keep it simple. Go to the daily, weekly again. And I'm going to go Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. I'm going to set schedule. Then I want to be blocked off the internet for a 3-hour period of deep focus from, let's say, 8:30 in the morning to 11:30 in the morning. Now most people think they work a lot more, do a lot more deep work than that. But what you'll find is the more you stake your time off, you really can get a ton done in just 3 hours. And when it comes to really deep work, like Cal Newport talks about in his book, Deep Work, most of us only actually have the capacity to do a few hours of really focused, intentional work per day. You may find that expands a bit the more you get better control of your focus and your attention. But for now, I think almost anybody could stand to benefit a lot if they just set aside 3 hours every day, got their most important work done. So right here, we've got it set for 8:30 to 11:30, Monday through Friday. And then the weekends, you're good. So let's click next, and then you can go ahead again to set your password protection for when this plan is active. And for something like this, I might not give somebody a custom password. Well, actually, I might. It really depends on how much trouble you're having honoring your hours every day. So again, you can choose your random characters. You can choose to have no protection, probably a bad idea. Custom password, or a force mode that really just forces you to take a timeout those 3 hours, 5 days a week. So I'm going to go with custom password again on this one. And then click done. Daily deep work. The plan is stopped. That means I haven't started it yet. So I'm going to go down here to the bottom of the list. And you see if I click on these, I can actually move them around. See if you want to move it to the top so it's easy to get to the plans that you've created. So I've got go to bed and daily deep work up here at the top. I'm going to go ahead and turn that on. It says that I have 14 hours and 24 minutes until my start time for this plan once it's enabled. So I'll go ahead and enable it by clicking start. And if you ever want to edit it, you're going to have to stop it first, and then you go in there and edit it. So there we are. We're set up with, make sure yours are both on here, both started. We're set up with 2 plans here. One is to go to bed, to start winding down every night at a certain hour, and one is to get your 3-hour sessions in on weekdays. That's going to be huge. If you're not doing these things, it's really going to be huge. All right, so number 3, social media. This is the big one for nearly everybody. Everyone needs this these days. There's huge issues right now with the way that people are getting addicted to social media, and even if they're not addicted, they're spending way too much time on it. So what we want to do is start rationing our time on social media every day. We have a plan here already in your default called Block Social Media. Looks like it has a 1-hour focus session for that. I think we can change that a bit, but I'm going to go ahead and use that anyway just to show you a little bit how to edit these plans. So if you go back there, you saw in that list I have a Block Social Media plan. Has all these 13 websites blocked: Pinterest, Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp, Slack. So what I do here is click on this little wheel, and I'm going to change that from block, because what we're going to do is use a time limiter. I'll show you how that works in a sec. So we're going to ration our social media, so we can still get on there. Click next, so that we can still check our social media every day. But if you're having problems spending 2 or 3 hours a day on social media, and believe it or not, a lot of people are. I think the current stats are around the globe, it's like 144 minutes maybe per day people are spending on social media, and I know a lot of people are spending a lot more. And I think Americans spend more time than most people if you're an American. So if you still want to use your social media, that's great, but we're going to set up a time limiter so that you can only spend so much time on it per day. If you want to add any other social media sites to this, you can easily do that by clicking this over on the top right, add site, put in the custom URL. I'm going to cancel that. Or you can just go with what we've got here. If there's nothing that's not on here that you use, you'll see that we got Reddit on there, Pinterest, Tinder. If you use any dating sites, you might want to add those on there. If you find yourself using certain forums too much, there's Quora on there. You can add whatever URLs you want. So let's go to next. If there are any apps you want to add, you can add apps. I'm not going to add anything. But if you have Line or a Facebook app or anything on your phone, on your computer, you can go ahead and do that. Next, we're going to change the rule type. Right now the rule type is on just block, which means it's going to just block these things completely during set hours. What we want to do is a time limit. So select time limit and hit next. The time limit rule allows you to set a time limit for your chosen apps and sites, and then it resets at the end of the time period. So what we want to do, as an example, I would recommend 45 minutes, maybe an hour, depending on how much you really feel like you need to be on social media per day. So by setting the time limiter, FocusMe is going to track how much time you've used your social media over a 24-hour period, and if you exceed your 45-minute quota, it's going to go ahead and lock you out. This is a really handy way to just lessen the amount of time you're spending on social media while still being able to interact with people, stay in touch with family, message people when you need to. You can get more productive without feeling like you've completely checked out. So this is set up on quick mode actually for the schedule, and that's not what we want. But since we started a default plan, it's set up on a quick mode. Now what quick mode is, it's just something that you just activate anytime that you want to suddenly take some time to focus. I'll show you how to do that later, but for now we want to change this mode to a daily weekly mode. Okay, so make sure you've got your auto enable plan daily here. Go ahead and select, or you can hit select all, just select all the days, and then set a schedule. You've already got yourself locked out of your computer at night, so I would just put this plan to 24 hours. Remember, this is a time limiter, so it's just going to give you 45 minutes within that 24-hour period. And as soon as your 45 minutes runs out, it will cut you out. You can set an end date if you want. I would just leave that alone. You can always change the plan later if you want to do something more strict or less strict. Let's go to next. Let's set a custom password. Once again, social media is a tough one, so it can be tempting to just use the random character feature for your protection setting. I would set a password. And maybe have a friend. Even if you are single and live alone, you can have a friend across town set your password for you. And then if you need to call them up, for some reason you need to get on social media again that day, you can always call them up and ask for the password. Have them set a new one later. But again, you've got 4 different options here. You may want to use the force if you're really having a problem with social media. Let's click done. So ration social media, remember it's not yet started. So we've got 13 sets, 45 minutes of usage per day. The plan is not yet enabled. You can see that here just by hovering over. And it just shows when the time interval for that plan ends. I'll just go ahead and start this up. And because where I'm at right now, it's 6:22 p.m. So I would still have time today to use some social media if I wanted to. Again, if you have any questions or confusions about this stuff, just feel free to reach out to the team or to set up your personal productivity appointment with one of our staff members, and we'll go ahead and give you a consultation for making this thing work for your needs. We'll walk you through it if you want us to. Another one of the major ways that most people can get some instant results when it comes to productivity is to get control of their email habits. Most people are spending way too much time, checking their email constantly, waiting for something to come in that they can respond to, or spending way too much time writing their emails, replying to emails, following junk in their emails. So what you want to do is get a hold of that a little bit. We got some handy tools here for you to limit the number of times per day that you actually check your email. If you go down here in the default plans, you'll see a plan called Launch Limit Email. Let's go over here to that little settings wheel and click that. I'm just going to leave the title as it says. Let's show our timer. So when we're using our email, we know how much time we have left. Just go to next. And you'll see it's on block selected sites, and it has google.com in there and inboxgoogle.com. You may have a different email provider, in which case just go ahead and go over here to add site, and you can hit custom and go ahead and enter the URL for your email provider. You can just close the tab on that one, or open a new tab. You can send yourself to the home page. I'm just going to leave it a closed tab for now. And hit next. If you're using an email app, you may want to enter that in here. This one has Outlook, and block method is minimize. Then hit next. So this is where it gets interesting. This is our launch limit rule. You can do this for any plan. You can change from just block to time limit to the launch limit. I've showed you the other ones. We're going to use the launch limit for this one, which is really handy for email, but it can be handy for a lot of different tools out there. Or distractions out there. It can also be handy for video games or social media. It really depends on your needs. Today we're going to use this as an email limiter. So I would recommend maximum launches per day. How many times you can use or launch the site or apps in one day. Set this high if you don't need a limit. I want to put this at 3. If you're checking your, most people probably don't need to be checking their email more than 3 times per day. Your mileage may vary, so feel free to adjust this, to your own needs. But I'm going to set that for 3, and maximum time per launch, let's set that to 45 minutes. Maybe up to an hour. If you have if you run an online business, or you're in a business where you really need to write these long-winded emails, you may need to set that for longer. I like to, and I do work in an industry where I have to do that a lot, but I still like to give myself an incentive to wrap things up quick, so I don't get too carried away. But yeah, if you need more time, give yourself more time. But I would highly encourage you to give yourself a time limit that's a little bit uncomfortable, and it's going to force a little bit of change. If you can't do that with the maximum time per launch, at least do that with the launches per day. Force yourself to handle all your emails within a certain number of launches per day. Launch inactivity timeout. So this, actually, let's skip that one. What I want to do is give you a minimum break time after the launch. So this just refers to how long you have to wait before you can go ahead and do another launch. So if I did my first launch, I don't want to be able to change my mind and decide that it's super important to jump into my email again like 20 minutes later. So I actually like to really spread out my email usage throughout the day. What I'm going to do is set this to 2 hours. And again, that might be really uncomfortable for some people. Maybe there's a reason you'll need to hop into your email again before that 2-hour period is up. Again, I would highly encourage you to do something a little bit uncomfortable that's going to restrict you a little bit, because that's the power of FocusMe. You decide what would actually be a better way for you to conduct business, to handle your time, and then you set these rules to encourage yourself, or even force yourself in some cases, to stick to that. So let's go to next. Gonna go ahead and set this for every day of the week, and I'll just keep it over a 24-hour period as well. Now with the email, I recognize that there are probably some days that are going to be a little abnormal, and I will need to check my email again. So I'm going to use a random characters protection on this one, and let's set it to, because email has never been my worst distraction. It can be a distraction. I can definitely get caught up in the habit of checking it too often, but I probably am not going to go through great lengths to type out 25 random characters to open my email unless it's actually important, because it's not as enticing as maybe YouTube or a video game or social media. So let's just set this to 25, maybe 20 characters. And that's all the protection that I really think my email plan needs at this stage. And just thinking back to the scheduler, maybe you just want to have your email protection set up during your work hours, so you could do that with the scheduler. It's really up to you. Maybe you just want to check it less when you're actually working, but you don't mind when you're running around in the afternoon or evening. But I think we're done on this one. So it looks like this one has already been activated. That's already been started. If you want, another thing to point out, if you ever want to change your timer settings, you can come over here, hover over the plan, and right click, and you can hide the timer, or you can show the timer. And that's just going to tell you, when your plan locks you out, it's gonna tell you how much time that you have left and how many launches you have left. If you look down here at the little pop-up. All right, so this quick start video we're run out of time here, but I think I would still like to squeeze in one more productivity tip, one more way you can use this tool. So let's go ahead and do that real quick. What I want to show you how to do right now is called a hard stop. And what this is just, say for example, you are you're done with your work and you feel like you needed just a break from the computer, and you just want to click a button and ban yourself from your distractions or the internet completely for maybe 8 hours or 2 hours. I prefer 8 hours, just so I can really take a healthy break and get back to work in the morning with a fresh mind. So let me show you how to do that. If you go to your default plans here, you'll see this one that says block internet. And go over here to the settings wheel, click that. Let's activate the timer. Go to next. It's got, this one is set to block all websites. I'm going to keep that. But again, you can go ahead and block selected sites if you like. It's really up to you. It's pretty simple to add in. And if you want to figure out how to use this whitelist thing, you can go ahead and watch the video, or maybe come here and select whitelist, add site, and then you just add the URLs, the custom URLs for sites that you would like to retain access to. But I'm not going to do that. We'll keep it simple. So block all websites. I'll go ahead and keep this on closed tab because this is, I think for this block that's going to be okay. Next. Block all apps, block method minimize. Next, select OK. Now this rule type is just block. It's just going to block everything whenever it's active, just like our sleep plan. Go to next. And this is the schedule mode. This is the quick schedule mode. I'm going to go over here to the right side and I'm going to increase that to 8 hours. Next. It's currently set up with no password, so if you want, or no password protection, so if you want to put in some random characters or a custom password or a forced mode, you may want to do that. This might be a good one to go force mode if you really want to take a break from your computer and you want to play around with that force mode stuff. I'm just going to leave it on none for now, because this is demonstration purposes. And then done. Now the way that this quick start works is whenever I want to just take an 8-hour break from my computer, all I could do is go over here and hit start, and then it'll start, and then I will have an 8-hour break from my websites and my apps. So it will not enable that at this time. But yeah, basically that just sits in your plans, and whenever you want to enable it, whenever you want to take a break, just go ahead and hit it, and it will give you a timeout. Okay, so that's it for the quick start video. I hope that was helpful. I will just remind you one more time that you can reach out to us anytime if you're having a little bit of trouble with this tool, or if you want to see it do something different that we haven't covered today. You can also go ahead and check out the other videos, dig into the different features and the different uses for FocusMe. And let us know if you have any suggestions for improvement, any requests or questions. All right, thanks a lot. Enjoy your time playing around with this tool and figuring out what it can do. I think you're going to be really amazed at the life-changing potential in this productivity software, and I don't say that lightly. That's all, folks. Have a great day, night, wherever you are. We'll talk to you again soon.